Recently, Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, caused a huge controversy because she told the varying tax ranges of different types of popcorns. हेलो एवरीवन, नमस्कार एंड वेलकम वंस अगेन. सो इस वीडियो में हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं द बजट 2024 and the budget 2025 and how this tax system has affected the average Indian person. Let's go. So, firstly, we will talk about tax. So, a tax is a mandatory fee or financial charge levied by any government on an individual or an organization to collect revenue for public works providing the best facilities and infrastructure. जो कि इंडिया में बिल्कुल नहीं है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि देर इज नथिंग डेवलपिंग इन इंडिया, बट इफ वी लुक दैट इंडिया इज लेस फोकस्ड ऑन the development of its own country and instead is focused on the religious dilemma or many bullshit issues. For example, you can see that in Bihar many bridges have fallen down. Even the Mulla Periyar Dam in Kerala is going to collapse and the huge flood is going to occur, but nobody is taking action, irrespective of any political party.
There are comparatively more important issues like corruption and pollution which should be focused on more.
So these are some of the taxes. अब हम discuss करते हैं. First is income tax. So it is a direct tax imposed on the income earned by individuals, and it is based on job professions accordingly. Second is goods and service tax, that is GST, which we are going to discuss a lot now. It is an indirect tax levied on the supply of goods and services. GST subscribes multiple indirect taxes like excise duty, etc. And there are three types: CGST on the central government, like it's collected by the central government; SGST collected by the state government; and IGST applied on interstate relations. The third is corporate tax. It is imposed on the net income or profit of corporate entities. Fourth is capital gains tax. It is a tax levied on the profit earned. There is customs duty and indirect tax levied on the import and export of goods. Excise duty means an indirect tax on the manufacture of goods within the country. So many. There is property tax, wealth tax, etc. So recently this issue got mainstream when Budget 2024 was released by the current Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman. और बहुत controversy हुई. Even the biggest conservatives of India, BJP supporters, disliked it. And I do think that there were many things problematic in the new tax reform. So firstly, we will discuss about the budget 2024. First is revised tax slabs. The new income tax regime has been updated to reduce the number of tax slabs and increase the threshold limits. Notably, the basic exemption limit has been raised from rupees 2.5 to rupees 3 lakh, which was good. Additionally, the standard deduction has been increased from rupees 50,000 to rupees 75,000, providing further relief to taxpayers. So this was good. The next point is angel tax abolition. The government has abolished the angel tax, which previously applied to investments received by unlisted companies exceeding the fair market value of their shares. This move is expected to benefit startups. Like India is a huge hub of startups, so startups को बहुत फायदा होगा इससे, I think. And early stage companies by easing their funding challenges. This was also good. And the third is capital gains tax adjustments. The tax rate on short-term capital gains has been increased from 15% to 20%, while long-term capital gains are now taxed at 12.5%. The exemption limit for long-term capital gain has also been raised from rupees 1 lakh to rupees 1.25 lakhs. So we can infer that the personal tax, the corporate tax, and the capital tax has been increased. Like the limits have been raised up, which is good. We also employment and skill development issues she focused. Now we will look at the criticisms. So critics of the budget, particularly leftists and many right-wingers also stated, they told that while the reforms aim to simplify the tax structure, certain measures like the differential GST rates on similar products, because yes, recently she talked about that popcorn thing, which we are going to discuss, may introduce unnecessary complexity, which is kind of correct, because like if you focus a lot on taxes, then I don't think that the country will develop. Conversely, proponents believe that these reforms will enhance the compliance, reduce litigation, and provide a more straightforward tax regime, the ones who encourage for individuals. So I am somewhat between. And the effects on Indians are revised income tax thing has been expected to provide relief to middle income earners, though she has like kind of criticized middle class people. Like the people who mostly suffer in India are middle class. अमीर लोग एंजॉय करते हैं, गरीब लोगों को भी कोई ऐसे टैक्स का कोई बंधन नहीं होता है, सो लाइक दे ऑल्सो एंजॉय द पुअर पीपल. But the ones who suffer the most, the ones who are actually poor, are the middle class people. And I think that there are many risks associated with this new budget reform. Disposable income and boosting consumption will probably increase. However, the higher taxes on capital gains may affect investment decisions, and the complexities introduced by differential GST rates could pose compliance challenges for businesses. And yes, we'll now look. So, firstly, the rupees 11.11 trillion capital expenditure allocation is expected to boost economic growth, but it may initially lead to inflation. Even agricultural reforms and investments, the food inflation will happen. Many people have stopped buying leafy vegetables after budget 2024 because leafy vegetables are comparatively more expensive. So I think that health-wise, this is kind of L take. And yes, because of the GST reforms, example popcorn or packaged goods might have a localized inflationary impact, especially in urban areas. And the job creation, the unemployment is also rising. So government initiatives to create 50 lakh jobs and skill 20 lakh youth are expected to reduce unemployment. But like because of the toxic work culture, that is also not being solved. However, the pace of poverty reduction depends on successful implementation and private sector participation. So, yes, there are many, many challenges, particularly in inflations and the how the middle class will live.
I want to ask, where did I tax laga ke business? Where did I lagao tax?
So on futures and options, you've increased.
Wait a minute. And who are these bhaktas? So-called middle class, right? Futures and options is for middle class. Please don't mind me saying, why can't middle class be there? Of course they can be there. But futures and options go with risk. I'm not saying middle class shouldn't go into options or futures.
And the rate of gold and real estates will like increase. India has maintained the position as the world's fastest growing major economy. I do agree that India has contributed a lot and India is developing. But there are many, many parts of India and many things where India is lagging behind. US, China, Japan, etc. I think India should be focusing more on development than all the religious and all the bullshit things. My thoughts on budget 2024 is this. I think that focusing a lot on taxes is not beneficial ultimately for India. नुकसान हो सकता है, रिस्क हो सकते हैं, और अगर टैक्स से कोई मतलब इतना डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, then it is kind of useless to focus on taxes. In Dubai, there is no concept of tax, and that is why people are much wealthier and live happier. Now we will talk about the main thing, the popcorn thing. So recently in the GST issue, Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am, she like made a huge controversy and lots of memes are getting viral. उसके बारे में बहुत सारे memes हो रहे हैं, like Squid Game में अगर वो होती and all those things. So we will talk about the issue. So non-branded salted popcorn is taxed in 5%, and the pre-packaged and branded popcorn is taxed at 12%. So basically, plain popcorn, salted popcorn, spicy popcorn, that is chili powder popcorn, etc., is like she told that it is namkeen. But the caramelized popcorn has a tax of 18% since it has added sugar in it. And the way she spoke, caramelized and all that it made really really viral, and many DIY popcorn recipes also started.
अरे पॉपकॉर्न के ऊपर भी डाल रहे हैं टैक्स. जब तक वो नमकीन है, सॉल्टेड है, मसाला एडेड है, चटपटा मसाला है, चिली पाउडर है, कुछ हो, सब 5% है मेरे, 5%. बट व्हेन इट हैज एडेड कैरामलाइज्ड शुगर, इट इज नो लॉन्गर नमकीन. इसीलिए उसका रेट अलग.
So I think that focusing on popcorn is like really really problematic. Like while US is developing AI robots, Russia is developing new like weapons, and many other countries are producing vaccines, and many technological advancements they are going. We are focused on shitty taxes, which I think is problematic. भारत के लिए ये कोई beneficial चीज नहीं है. And yes, this like is making India a laughing stock. So the stratification has sparked criticism with opponents like almost all Indians. Advisor K.V. Subramanian commented that such measures cause could inconvenience citizens without significantly boosting tax revenues. Because if taxes are not benefiting the country so much, then why it is useful? Even a commentator Dhruv Rathi criticized her budget 2024 thing and also this new thing. And about budget 2025, there will be similar reforms. Union budget 2025 is just around the corner, and middle class has high hopes from finance minister. And the high growth propelled corporate profits as a percentage of GDP to a 15-year high in FY24, 4.8%, but hiring and wages have lagged. Retail inflation was 5.48% in November, softening from 6.21% in October, and the FY 2025 at elevated 4.8% according to Reserve Bank of India's forecast. And private consumption has about 60% share in India's GDP, that is gross domestic product, which slumped to a 7-quarter low of 5.4% in the September quarter. So yes, middle class people have been spending a lot less these days because of the inflation tax rate. And there will be a similar pattern shown in budget 2025. And the basic exemption limit may be hiked by at least 50,000 to provide more disposable income. So I think the values will be raised more in budget 2025. And I think that she should be focusing more on development and how to use money wisely. She should be teaching the youth or managing it well, as she is the finance minister of a very big country, rather than dividing the taxes based on the flavors of a simple random popcorn. If she focuses more on the important things, I am damn sure that India will develop and will become great like America and China and Dubai. So thank you guys for listening to this important episode. Do share your thoughts on this new tax reforms. Personally, मुझे थोड़ी थोड़ी चीजें अच्छी लगी, but most of the things were wrong. Like kind of they were not in line with common sense, like many things, particularly to the middle class people. Bye.